What's up, guys? Hello. Hello. Can everyone hear me okay? I'll get some background tunes here. See if we can keep it quiet. Oh, yeah, that's nice. There we go. By the way, this is that was the Faint first one. This one is a channel called Enect. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. There's a link. It's pretty good shit. Always looking for good ambient stuff that isn't AI made. So it's nice. It's harder to find now these days. Is the music too loud? Or too low or anything? Or are we good? Let me see here. Because if it's too loud, just tell me. I'm really bad at gauging that sometimes, so it's good to know. All right. Oh, all right. I got stuff to talk about. We'll see. We'll see how y'all feel about it. Okay. So, man, I got these new headphones. They're like really noise canceling, so it's a little weird. I normally can't hear my voice a little more, but whatever. I gotta set it up different. So this is something that like I've kind of faintly brought up in the past, but like I kind of wanted to get into it a little more deeply, talk about it a little bit further. And that's this concern I have with certain types of projections, psychological sort of projections that the schizoid sort of often does. Now you might be thinking, oh, is Ank's going to talk about like the obvious ones, right? You know, some of the negative assumptions we have of people, learned sort of assumptions that we project onto, most people, as in like, connection is not possible, and for the following reasons, and any attempt always fails because I'm too different from people, and so on and so forth. Like these ideas, I'm not really going to get into that. That's like I think that's a really obvious one, right? It's one of the ones that like really makes it difficult for Zoids, even once they're in like a healthier environment, where there could be people that they can actively actually communicate with because of similarities, especially in neurodivergent types and shit, that it'll keep them from, they'll still be kind of projecting those ideas about how things will go with others and how it's unrewarding and so on and so forth. Like I can't even like imagine sometimes. But anyway, that's a different story. That one I've talked about plenty. The one I want to talk about today is one that like I think a lot of Zoids don't even realize or recognize as occurring. And it's really strange because usually when you're talking about psychological projections, you're talking about like shit that's used as a form of defense, that like other people with different kinds of issues will do, sort of project some negative aspect about themselves, or it's something they struggle with, onto the person, right, in order to sort of dismiss or deflect essentially any kind of accusations or criticisms and so on and so forth, right? Okay. Zoids don't really do that very much because as you well know, we're super resistant to criticism or praise, and I won't get into why that is because that's a whole different can of worms. But so what sort of projections can we talk about when it comes to the schizoid, right? If they're not deflecting. Schizoids aren't really deflectors. They do deflect certain things about themselves internally. They deflect their own thoughts or concerns or other emotional reactions in various ways, right? But again, that's a whole different thing. But what I want to talk about is the manner in which the schizoid projects their autonomy sensitivity onto other people. Right? I've noticed a strong sort of defense or sensitivity to not just like, just autonomy, right, as a whole, but to the questioning of, or the pushing back of people's expressed internal narratives, right? So what I mean by that is they have a hard time just going, oh, that person says they're this way, right? They have a hard time being able to even recognize behaviors that contradict what they're stating they are, or what their internal experience is, because there's sort of I feel like there's often an aversion to doing that, as that's something that they've struggled with and been traumatized themselves with, right? People not understanding, accepting, or being able to comprehend your sort of internal self-perception, your internal world, right? How you experience the world, what you think, what your motivations are, what your principles are, what your views are, who you describe yourself to be, right? You know, a lot of Zoids in the past, maybe with parents or therapists or something, they might have attempted to explain it and failed multiple times, oftentimes because of a variety of assumptions that the listener makes regarding what they're saying, right? It's a common story about the Zoid who says, oh, you know, I'm not interested in A or B, and it's turned into, you hate this, you dislike this, you hate me, you dislike me, you don't care about your family, you don't like, you know, it turns into like this hyper negativistic thing when you're just trying to express like, hey, I'm disconnected from this, or I do not prioritize this, or I am not motivated by this or that, I'm motivated by something else, maybe I'm not really sure what it is, but it isn't this, right? So that sort of constant barrage, especially in adolescence and stuff, makes you really sensitive, right, to the questioning of other people's internal narratives. And so, for example, I've noticed that, and not just like, you know, not just in relation to this, you know, server stuff, but even on the Reddit and like, and I've seen comments and like, you know, just conversations, but they're when somebody says, oh, this is my internal, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, right? They sort of become very, would it be apologists? Defense? They'll run defense on any kind of pushback on that person's expressed narrative, right? The person might say, I am, I'll use a real simple example. I am very involved in, like, I don't know, I really like recycling. This is a stupid example, obviously much deeper shit than that, right? And so I consider myself to be a person that cares about recycling, right? And then the way they describe their day to day, let's just say, right? They talk about their day to day. They say, oh, today I was too tired to care, so I threw my cans out the window. Or today, I saw somebody recycling, but they were in my way in the driveway. Fuck that person. Fucking dick. Do your stupid recycling somewhere else. Right? And if somebody goes, hey, that doesn't seem like you're somebody that's really into recycling or care about it very much, right? And they say, who are you to tell me what I believe, right? And again, there's a silly example. Zoids have this kind of sensitivity to seeing someone else express that, and they'll want to give as much good faith to that individual about what they're saying, even if in the face of behavior and action there are contradictions that can be easily picked up, perceived, or looked into. And and that's how I consider it, sort of a psychological projection of their own struggle, of their own sensitivities. They see someone else being questioned about what they're about, that it becomes almost a knee-jerk reaction, right? And even if, say, you were to say, hey, look, here's a picture of the guy who says he's really into recycling and cares about it, and it's a big part of his life. Here's a picture of them that they posted dumping a whole bag of cans all over the park. Like where they'll just dump their whole cans out of their truck into the park. and then you're like, hey, look, what's up with this? It'll reach a point where it'll be like, you know what, maybe they were just having a really bad day that day. Maybe they got so tired of people not caring about recycling, they got so mad, they said, fuck it, I'm gonna throw all these cans in here. Maybe that's what happened. Who are you to say he doesn't care or she doesn't care as much as they say they care about recycling? Now, I don't know if this, like, it's kind of crazy because this is like one of those things that even when a Zoid is approached with it, like, hey, you might be doing something like this. This is one of those things that they will, there's a chance they will deflect or dismiss or use types of argumentation that they would never be caught doing in other instances. I don't think schizoids like being told they have sensitivities, emotional sensitivity to certain types of topics and events that could actually like lead to a almost, I don't want to call it like a toxic empathy, but not toxic. It would be more like a, well, unproductive, like projected good faith onto others when they're talking about who they feel they are. Right. And part of the issue with any kind of PD, but other types of PDs that aren't schizoid or whatever, if we're talking about BPD, NPD, shit like that, right? Part of it is a lot of these people might have internal narratives that aren't actually in conjunction with their external behavior. Or people construct narratives about themselves to cope with other things, to not face or process other things. I've seen this with the schizoid, as far as people using the label, right? I've seen people that I believe, you know, and I'm not just talking about people I interact with. We get a lot of applications for the server. And we get people that say stuff like, my intellect is, other people don't understand what I'm trying to say because they don't think about stuff as deeply as I do. And they're just, they're incompetent at this and that. And I feel like I'm not a part of them because of those reasons. And like stuff like that. And like, I'm just hearing a bunch of sort of intellectual narcissism being turned into this label. And I'm like, well, this is a different issue. This is not what you think it might be. This is something else. But that, just me saying that, just me pointing that out, might trigger some Zoids. They might hear that and go, who the fuck are you to say who they are? I'm not saying who they are. I'm saying what I'm seeing. And it's really interesting because some of the people that we've been like, hey, yeah, I don't think this is a good fit. Yeah, we'll get a DM, or somebody, they'll post a passive aggressive sort of message, or they'll DM like, hey, blah blah blah, how come you didn't accept me into blah blah blah? And then we're like, this reason, that reason, nothing personal. And then they get really upset. They're like, well, who are you guys? And like, it gets like turned into this weird like ego thing. And it's like, what is happening? Right? Like, what is happening? What are they doing? And we're glad at that point, when they get that mad, we're like, okay, mission accomplished. This is definitely not a good place for them. That is not what's happening here, based on our understanding of what all this shit is. And unfortunately, this also opens up the schizoid to getting manipulated, which is the thought of it is just an aversion, obviously, right? That's kind of like I don't know, would it be irony that this sort of like projected good faith unto what people describe are their internal narratives to the world, especially on the internet, right, where anybody can type and say anything, will actually put them in a position in which manipulation of them is easier, right? It's like some people out there will take advantage or exploit other people's empathy. And some people will be looking for empathy by claiming various things about themselves, who down the line, their actions contradict. And I can imagine me talking about this or bringing this up might be like making some Zoids either get mad or get like that same feeling. Who are you to tell me what's going on inside of me? Who are you to tell me I'm projecting anything? Who are you to say I'm nobody, but you're nobody too? And I mean that in a good way. I don't think anybody should be somebody. But that's my whole deal. We're either all somebody or everyone's nobody. But yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to kind of ramble about a little, and I would love some feedback. I already think they lost a few people. Maybe they got bored. That's fine. Or maybe they got the point and they're like, yeah. Or maybe they didn't like what I said. Not long ago, I had like a comment of some kind where somebody was like upset with an interview I did and the way I talked about it, and what I didn't bring up, right? And then there's another person that they had an issue with. What was it? It was me alienating the schizoids that are not neurodivergent. I have never met one. And what's really interesting is the ones that I've often met that claim to have no kind of neurodivergency related experiences in conjunction with the trauma they endured. Oftentimes when I've done digging with them, consensual on their part, to discuss, maybe they're upset with me or whatever, it ends up being something else entirely that they're being motivated by. And what's bothering them is that I'm sometimes like deconstructing some kind of label amongst many labels they've probably taken up to cope with something else entirely different. I'm not saying everyone that takes up a label that isn't appropriate or whatever to whatever they're trying to manage or deal with is like malevolent. I'm not saying that they're malicious. There are malevolent people that do that kind of shit. There are manipulative people that do that kind of shit. Those people exist, right? Be wary of them. They are out there. But there's plenty of people that also take up labels to just be able to cope with the world. For example, something I would say a lot less, I'm not going to be like, oh, every person that, says they're schizoid and they're likely not, they're all like narcissists or anything. No, I'm not talking about all that shit. You could have somebody that's like avoidant, dismissive, attachment issues, or avoidant, and they have this kind of more dismissive attitude toward their why they avoid people, but they're still functionally very interpersonal reasons. And instead of sort of dealing with the trauma associated with that and the issues associated with that, saying, oh well, I never cared about friendships, I never cared about this or that, right? It might be a way to just kind of soothe that, because again, when you dig further, it's not indifference, it's not apathy, it's not a sense of all relationships they've attempted in the past feeling either very muted or completely unrewarding. They have like an actual negative perspective, like an actively interacting with others is dangerous. Not interacting with others is like pointless, or I don't get anything out of it much, or it always ends up with like them wanting more about who I am that I'm not, and like other shit like that. It's about people are betrayers, people are not loyal, people are gonna hurt me, people are gonna break my heart, like my parents did, like my ex did, like my sister, my brother did, like my best friend did when I was in high school or college or growing up. People are dangerous because they bully you and try to hurt you and manipulate you, right? Yeah, those are all reasons somebody might stay away from others, but those aren't the reasons I'm talking about when I'm talking about the schizoid. And so when somebody rolls up and they're saying stuff like that, what I previously described, and if anybody goes, hey, that sounds like you're dealing with something different, you know, the person doing any kind of questioning, no matter how much empathy or care they're putting into it, is becomes you know, an aggressor, an authoritarian, I don't know, whatever type of word you can think of somebody that's actively trying to like gatekeep for like egoistic reasons, a label or a group of people or something. Or that it's like for like weird personal reasons that it's occurring. I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of Zoids I've met. I don't like them, but that's not the point. Like, I don't like them not because I don't know, maybe they have some perspectives that I'm just like, nah, or they have communication stuff that I'm like, or, you know, or maybe they're obnoxious, or maybe they're I don't know, whatever anybody would have a reason for being like, I don't vibe with that person, right? Yeah, I've met plenty of Zoids I don't vibe with at all, right? But how much I don't vibe with somebody is not going to like dictate whether I think, oh, that person must be or must not be dealing with the schizoid issues. I just look at the behavior. I just look at what they say and I just ask questions. That's it. I look for the core issues. As a kid, a huge focus on defending others and who they wanted to be or thought of themselves, whether that be kept to myself or expressed. That is relatable. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I used to do it when I was younger, when I was in my 20s. I'm 41 now. But I can recognize when you're essentially defending something that might be damaging to the very person who's stating it because they can't see how untrue it is, or they might be, and I think it's a minority, just being manipulative or looking for sympathy, looking for somebody to shoulder to cry on, and they'll use any label or anything, or they're avoiding realizing something about themselves, so they'll stick. And I've noticed that the people that do it for those reasons, they'll be jumping from like thing to thing. They'll be like, oh, I think it's this. Oh, no, it's this. Oh, no, it's this. And then, but then like you look at the behavior and there's like a lot of contradictions. There's a lot of like contradictions they might even know are occurring or recognize. And the mental gymnastics I've seen people do to avoid confronting that it's impressive. I don't, not impressive is a bad word. Disturbing, unsettling, sad, not in like in a pejorative way, but like actually like that makes me feel bad. Yeah, it makes me feel bad because they're hurting. And this ain't it. But telling them this ain't it will make that other hurt they have hurt more. Like, imagine if you will, like a legit, whatever. Oh, my daughter. 1 second, please. Yeah, my little one always comes in around this time to say goodnight, for those that don't already know. She always comes in. So, I might be wrong, but are we talking about avoidance accidentally thinking being diagnosed as schizoid? If so, they're everywhere. You might as well check under your floorboards for one. Well, yeah, there's that. There's also people that are, likely are dealing with some kind of NPD type trauma or issue where they're, instead of being like, my behavior's problematic to others, in like in a real way, not in a like, in a like a, oh, I'm what's the word, I just want to be left alone and everyone just keeps like hounding me all the time. But I'm talking about like their behavior can be maybe hurtful to others or something like that, and maybe they're introverted in many ways, but their explanations for why that is to keep others away has like this kind of narcissistic tone to it, usually an intellectual sort of narcissism, right? And instead of saying, hey, I'm actually like, these assumptions I'm working under and so on and so forth are like flawed, it's like, well, I'm schizoid, so that means that I'm everyone else doesn't understand me, and then that gets mixed up. You're just too dumb to understand my genius type. Sort of, you can see that sometimes. I've had people apply that are like that for sure. And it'll be like, yeah, my brain's so big that others don't understand me, or I question everything, and so that's why I don't understand people who don't, but like they use it as like a cudgel to sort of like beat all of humanity and paint it as with a broad brush, but through these kind of like very ego driven sort of words usage and explanations, right? And sometimes when I'm trying to find another set of tracks that isn't too. Oh, I'll play another Necked. And their shit's so good. Good ambient shit. But yeah, they'll use that kind of stuff to sort of not deal with the actual issue at hand. It's like if their issue is like rejection sensitivity or abandonment, like a strong abandonment sensitivity, right? Then instead of going, yeah, it is an abandonment thing or it is a rejection thing, they're like, oh no, it's not. It's not those things. I'm schizoid. It's a different thing. And for the schizoid, yeah, it is a different thing. It's a very kind of odd thing, but yeah, they'll just because it's a means of just pushing it away. I'm always looking into what is a person pushing away. But yeah, that's the thing with like AVPD or something like that. People with those issues, like yeah, you tell them, hey, if you tell them, hey, I don't think this is a good place for support for you because your situation seems very different. It's nothing personal, but there's no way to tell them without them feeling that rejection. I had a community, it's abandoning me. I had people that were nice and didn't feel threatening, and now they're rejecting me. Right? And it's like I don't understand that feeling because that's not my sensitivity. But if that aversion and that discomfort it causes them is similar to like the aversion and discomfort a schizoid would feel, feeling engulfed, feeling like they don't have any autonomy, feeling like that kind of choking, like I need to get out of here, that anxiety and maybe some depression and everything tied to it. I can empathize, like, wow, it's making them feel like that, and it's shitty because there's no way for us to like avoid that. We try to make it as like just it's nothing personal, just doesn't. That's part of the reason I kind of wanted to have the second server, so that somebody that is dealing likely with something else, they still have a place to talk to people about these things and have discussions about other stuff, and I mean, a lot of avoidant people vibe with schizoids because we're pretty safe. We don't generally care enough about most people we interact with to judge them in some kind of consistent way. That's social in nature. You're not going to be interpersonally judged on a social play field by the schizoid. That's not happening. They might have feelings or judgments towards you when it comes to like what your principles are, like what you think your stance on other people's autonomy is probably one of the things that a schizoid will judge you heavily on. Very, very heavily on. I would say so. I would say yes. If you were to say, what would a schizoid judge about other people that would make them either be disgusted or respectful of other people? One of those things would be that person's approach to human autonomy. Yeah. Like, I don't even think they would defend that, no matter, like, but that's the thing, that they won't defend that, but they'll defend the doubt, the reasonable doubt. But what if this? But what if that? But what if this? But if somebody rolled up and said, I like controlling others, it's fun, don't you think? No, you're gonna get fucking disgusted. Total aversion. Total like, ugh. Fuck this person. What the fuck? Get away from me. Get away from here. They're not gonna manipulate me, but that's what you're into? Ugh. Oh, I'm hurting so much inside. I just have to hurt others. So I'm hurting. Ugh. No, go away. That's not how that works. I think the schizoid would be very judgmental of things like that. Yeah, you might just avoid it, yeah. But if I've noticed that if Zoids see what they perceive as somebody attempting to question someone else's autonomy, or like that's, hey, what are you doing? Especially on the internet, right? They have more cojones on the internet to just jump in, be like, hey, you don't know what their experiences are. And I sympathize with it. But that's because, yeah, that's a lot of the trauma we endured. Parents, teachers, siblings, peers. You know, just like you're not there. There's nothing to like talk about. You get like nullified, essentially. That plus massive pity for people who genuinely believe or convince themselves that they like being controlled by another person. That plus massive pity for people who genuinely believe. Well, I'd like you to elaborate what you mean by that. That's interesting. A massive pity for people who genuinely believe or convince themselves that they like being controlled by other people. Yeah, I see something like that, and my immediate is like, I want to help them. Yeah. I always feel like I've talked to people like that, right? Like people that are like either very dependent or very like self-loathing. And they'll make like a million excuses for like manipulative people, toxic ass people in their lives. And yeah, like I just want to be like, no. Look at this, look at that. That is not okay. This is not okay. This is not how you should be treated as a human being. You should not be controlled for this and that reason. You should not be. Right? That's how I react, and I've had to like wind that back because a lot of those people, that will make them mad that I'm pointing that out, or that'll like cause a cognitive dissonance in their brain. Oh, it's too much. Yeah, because for themselves, for their issues, autonomy might be more closely connected to the trauma. When they are more autonomous, they are more likely to be traumatized or re-traumatized in a way that made them like sort of go into learned helplessness mode for their whole fucking life. Yeah, I can't help those people. Those are not people I can help. That's a whole different like ballpark. That's why if somebody like that's in a schizoid support server, what are we doing? Yeah, fuck yeah, it's sad. Like, can you imagine someone like that is like, you know, wants other people to make all their decisions for them and they're highly dependent? Can you imagine a person like that rolling up and going, oh yeah, I think I have schizoid PD, and then pointing that out, and then Zoids rolling up and being like, hey, maybe they do, maybe it's a comorbidity or so, maybe they're a schizoid and they have comorbid DPD. Like, I'm like, yo, like, what are the chances of that? Like, have you ever seen that? I can't even, like, wrap my brain around that possibility. But you'll see it. You'll see it. They'll defend that. But what they're defending isn't, they're defending that aversion they have to seeing that. I think one of the best things a schizoid can do to deal with it is to start trying to separate what is reasonable and unreasonable when it comes to defending that, and not just going everything's, you know, because then you get into this weird like world of solipsism, right? Like, I see somebody and they have like fucking 10 labels on their profile of different conditions and even contradicting ones. Yeah, call me an asshole, but I'm just, no. They're dealing with something. They're struggling with something, but it ain't all that shit they have on their profile. It just ain't. That's not what's happening. All the shit they have on their profiles, how they cope with what's actually happening. So yeah, when I see somebody on Discord and they got like a million fucking labels on there regarding like things that are diagnosable and so on and so forth, yeah, I feel sympathy for that person in the sense of like, that person's having a bad time and this is how they manage. That's why when people say, oh, I have schizoid traits, I'm like, no. When it comes to the Zoid, it's all or nothing. It really is. It's the primary issue. It's the core issue. You can't, I mean, call it whatever you want, but I don't believe you can say, oh, I'm AVPD, but I have schizoid traits. No, you probably just avoid. And you probably like dissociate sometimes, or you probably disconnect in order to cope with those sensitivities and issues. Those are not schizoid traits. It's tough, man. It's tough. It is a tough time. Leaves me pretty somber. I used to get kind of like resentful about people like about shit like that, but now it just gets sad. Now it just gets sad. Because I don't know the solution. And you know the difficult part is that if a lot of schizoids are schizos and autists, those types of people already have a tough time being able to sort of understand the mind of others' desperate need to cope with something, causing them to lie or make up narratives, or other people who actively want to manipulate. It makes them vulnerable to those types of situations. Because the Zoid doesn't go around making up all these fucking internal stories to avoid rejection or abandonment. They just don't. That's not what they're doing. The cope and the stories they create are for themselves. And in conjunction with how to manage existentially with being okay with being in a world that makes very little sense to them and they can't connect to. Let's see here. But that makes them interesting and cool, no? Makes who interesting and cool? Well, look, there are people out there that do use labels for like weird, like narcissistic, seeking out like attention type shit, but I don't think most people that like have a bunch of labels on their fucking profile, I don't think most of those people have like conscious sort of intentions. I think there are people like that, but I think most of them are just like hurting and they don't know what to, like, they don't know how to manage something, or they can't face something, and so it's easier to just keep putting band-aids on that shit. Yeah, I think one of my current frustrations is seeing people with 1 or 2 traits of a PD and immediately tacking the full-blown disorder on their list because they crave more community and support. Boom! Tay, you hit it right on the fucking money. Right there, look, what you said. They crave more community and support. That's the one where I feel bad. That's the one where I empathize. Or sympathize. I don't empathize because I don't need that myself. Like, I never feel like I need more community and support. Like, no. I get the support I have, good enough. Community? The only community I want is humans getting along and not and working toward like good futures. That's I want to be a community of humans that don't fuck everything up and destroy each other. Yeah, I guess that's as close as being a part of a community I'm super interested in. But yeah, that's another big one. Good one, Tay, to mention it. Oh yes, there are people in pain that want more community and support, and if you have more labels, then you have more community and you get more support. Yeah, it's fucked up. Yep, but I did deep dip into aloneness, touch the depths, wonder why I'm here, turn around and look at life, because just gotta do that, get the groceries. Yeah, reminds me of milk in a bag. Well, it was milk outside of a bag, and then it's milk in a bag, inside of a bag. Those are both cool games, and they're cheap. I recommend playing them, Trudy. They're like just like point and click. They're not like, I know you're not into super gameplay shit. It's just like a little point and click adventure type thing that has to do with a girl dealing with schizophrenia or psychosis and stuff. But it's about that kind of struggle. Yeah, of like, who am I? What am I? What is identity? What's real? What's not? You know, subjectivity, objectivity. Like, what does it mean to be this? What does it mean to be here? What does it mean to not be here? You know, it's like shit like that that the character's struggling with. Yeah, it's called Milk. Is it Milk Outside of a Bag? Outside of a Bag? You could just play that one. You don't have to play the grocery one. It's older. Milk. Man, I'm so bad at remembering. And I have the... Yes, Milk Outside of a Bag of Milk Outside of a Bag. That's the name of the game. Look, I can't believe I always mix them up, but look, I got her right here. Look. I got my makeshift plushie of her. And I also got my Pompy. Psychopomp. Gold. If you have not played Psychopomp, play Psychopomp. No, well, it's Inside of a Bag is the first game. Outside of a Bag is the sequel. Inside of a Bag was their first game, where it's about her struggling to go buy milk or something. Yeah, Inside was a sequel. Outside of a Bag is... Wait, let me... Now you got me off... Yeah, Outside of a Bag is the sequel, 2021 sequel, yeah. But yeah, Psychopomp. Play Psychopomp if you have not played it. There's a free version. It's not very long. You can probably beat it in like an hour or two. And then there's like it got so much support, they created like a full game. And it's still not expensive. and it's called Psychopomp. That one does have more gameplay stuff though. Trudy, you might not vibe with it, but the outside of a bag and the inside of a bag. If you want to go in order, play inside of a bag and then play outside of a bag. And there's like multiple little endings, and it's not very long, but it's really cool and really cool visuals and stuff. I love the art. All right, guys, I think I'm donezo's with this one. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. I don't know. Hopefully maybe you've noticed you've done, if you're a Zoid, you know, you've done that kind of shit. And you're like, maybe I'm placing too much good faith in what people claim to be is happening, especially online. Pay attention to people's words. Behavior and words. Pay attention to their actions. Very important. But anyway, if you guys like the stream, if you like what I talk about, if you like all that shit, hold on. Yeah, but if you ever want to talk game Chapu with me, DM me, bro. It'll be on my time whenever, but I don't mind answering a question or two. Oh, here we go. I was waiting for this one. How can you be pretentiously gatekeepy like that? My brother in Christ, considering you have a PhD, I don't have a PhD. I have a master's in history. A dang kid and a job, or at least very least usually employed. You are the thing you criticize. What am I doing? I don't know what that means. Like, I literally explained in detail why it is that I'm gatekeepy. And that it's coming literally from a place of fucking empathy. Lord. Why does every normie nowadays think they are a fallen savant weirdo? What? That's hilarious. What does that mean? I'm a fallen savant. What? I don't know what that means. I'm actually like really curious. Give me details. Like, explain what you mean specifically. Usually when I get negative feedback, it's like that. It's really vague. And I don't know what they're referring to specifically. No, I want to know. I'm curious as shit. Like, I had a person that left a different comment and they were like mad, but in the very comment they said, I don't have time to watch the whole thing. I got like, I don't know if it said they watched like 10 or 15 minutes of it. And I was like, so you didn't hear me explain what I said? Like, you just heard a few words, had a knee-jerk reaction, and just fucking left a comment. And I didn't respond. I just like, just leave it alone. Not in the mood. And then they deleted it. I don't know who they were, but they deleted the comment. Maybe they watched the rest of the video and they went, oh shit, this guy isn't just fucking trying to be a guru or some crap. Like, damn, dude. I don't get shit out of this. Like, I only care about this shit because I care about it. I'm not making money off this shit. I don't want a bunch of friends or none of that crap. I don't feel high status. I don't care about that shit. It's crazy. I got people fucking projecting their fucking shit onto me, thinking like, oh, if I was in his position, I'd probably feel pretty good about this or that. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. And then when I ask for deets, I don't get them. It's mad. And then I have people that tell me like, oh, look at the literature, the literature, the literature. And I'm like, bruh, do you know how fucking shit the literature is? It's just, they don't even know what the fuck is going on. And I've explained why I think that's the case. It's because they're not looking at through that lens of, oh, maybe neurodivergency plays a factor in how people develop certain kinds of conditions that are odd or idiosyncratic to the normative individual, or the person, you know, the psychologist is trying to understand it through the lens of, you know, years of essentially neuronormative construction of what the human psychology is. Like, maybe that's why it's such a weird mystery. Maybe that's why cluster A is the odd and eccentric. What's happening with them? We don't get it. They're really confusing. They're not that confusing. It's pretty fucking easy. And I'm not saying like I got it all figured out, but I think I know where to point. Like, hey, look over here. That might be good. Everyone's like, yeah, no, that has nothing to do with it. I'm like, I guess not. I'll just keep saying it. Shaking my head. I can't believe I've been a cool normie savant this whole time. Shit. I guess that's all we are. I mean, there's like people out there that still believe that like the schizoids are just a bunch of like vulnerable narcissists that can't cope with like not having status and so gave up on the idea of status. It's like, yeah, cool. That sounds like some collapsed narcissist stuff, but like that's not what the fuck's going on, man. Like, crazy. I had somebody a while back tell me that like, oh, the reason you like to work with schizoids is because you know, you can just control, like you can just steamroll them and manipulate them, and you can be the king. And I'm like, what the fuck is that about? The king of what? Of ashes? No offense, Zoids. No, I'm saying. No, what I'm saying. We love ourselves as the ash pile. Well, then I hope you garner all the strength in your heart to be able to do so. I wish you luck on your adventure. Stefan Lazovic, 5877. May you get milk and coffee, and do so expediently and without too much pain. So yeah, you heard it, guys. I'm just gatekeeping because I want you all to myself. I want the label to myself. They all have to be like me. That's fucking awesome. I need coffee for the milk I have in my fridge. That's why I feel that struggle praying the milk magically appears in the fridge. Oh. It's fucking instant transmission, that shit. Alright, guys, I gotta go for real. This shit's just dragging. But if you like my shit, Patreon, please, please, please. It helps a lot. And PayPal, it's in the description, whatever. If you don't got money or whatever, then just comment, like, sub, whatever. If you're like on a Reddit or mental health group or something, you're like, oh, I'm gonna post this guy's link where he talks about this or whatever. Do so, please. That helps too. That's about it. All right. Oh, and I'll hit you up, Tay, about the art thing for sure. Thanks for reminding me. Good times. Just throw me a DM or whatever. Later, guys. And as usual, when day is dark, always remember happy day. But sometimes get fucking angry as well.